Alright, let's get straight into part 2. No mucking around. We're going to polish the E-shaft, so we'll linish that and get some of this surface rust off. It's not terrible, but it's definitely there. So we'll polish that. That'll be all good. The rotors are done, except for some lightning. So not like what Thor would bring out of the sky. I mean, this one's too heavy. Needs to be... do I get that right? No, this one's too heavy. Better get that right. So because I did the extra machining work before I did the machining work, these two were only a few grams out. But now, this... I'm going to have to check that. I'm pretty sure it's this one that's too heavy. Anyway, one of them is too heavy, so it's about 20 grams out. And yeah, I'm going to have to... It is definitely that one, because I knocked the weight out of that one by doing the race clearancing and machining them out to 3 mil. So they were all cleaned and everything, and I weighed them, and yeah, so it's about 20 grams I've got to take off this one. Now, to do that, I was advised that you center punch and drill into these ribs. Not a lot, just a bit off each one to the same depth, and that shouldn't affect the dynamic balance of the rotor. All it'll do is reduce the weight. So I can try and get them as close as I can, and I won't bother filming it because there's, center punch it and drill down in there. Probably I don't know, maybe a 4 or 5 mil drill, something like that. Not into the web. You want to sort of get it into this section here and just drill down through. And yeah, that's that. The plates are pretty good, but I am going to come through and I'm going to clean up the ports. So I don't have a porting template. I'm going to have a crack at making one, just so that I don't go inside the oil control ring line or too hard up against where the corner seal runs. But I just want to clean them up. Because I'm running a 6-port with no sleeves to shut off the secondary port. So on a 6-port, on your end irons, you've got 2. That's why it's a 6 and not a 4. This top port, so the secondary port on the secondary set of ports, if you will, normally has a sleeve in it. It comes through and it opens and closes. I think it's about 3,200 RPM in the naturally aspirated form. There's a valve that opens the barrel and allows air in. I'm not running that because I've got the full custom supercharger manifold. So what that means is I have a substantially bigger port that's open all the time. And I was advised that if I take too much out of the port opening, so if I increase or decrease the timing by moving that line, so I'm just trying to think if I get it wrong, I'll leave a note. But when you increase or open the port earlier, you move this line out, because as the rotor comes around in that direction, I might have to refilm this, we'll see. As it comes past, it'll start to move away, and if this line is further out, the port will open sooner, which will increase overlap. I don't really want a cranky engine down low. Because I've got such a big port, it's going to have a lot of air velocity coming in. And sort of another reason, apart from the fact that I already had it, I didn't go to a turbo center iron, because the turbo center irons have a much bigger port from factory. I can't take much out of this because you run into a water jacket. So I'm going to tidy it all up, clean the edges, and then the intake of the ports can really, we can get a little bit wild in here. We can take all this ramp out, all these castings inside, they all get come out, all the rough cast marks get come out, the transition up in the corner. So this transition, this is all just basic porting stuff, but this transition here is a very sharp edge. So we want to roll that so that the air doesn't come in and have to do a sharp 90. All that's going to happen. With this, I'm still a little bit undecided. I think what I'm going to do is bring these edges down, square it off, and make it a point. Bring it down. We'll taper it down into a wedge, so that the manifold I'm going to remove the bridge in the manifold, so that as the air is coming down the manifold, it hits the wedge and splits. I don't want it hitting the sharp edge, and I can make the manifold essentially a rectangle. So that's what I'm going to do with that, which, sorry, just for reference, that is the same as the rear iron. So we're going to do the same, obviously. And yeah, as I said, tidy up the ports, keep the transition smooth, but I'm not going to change the shape a great deal. So that's why I don't really need a porting template. So just a real quick shot of the setup. So center punch down each one of those, and I'm just drilling down. Be very careful not to get too close to the web or too close to the bearing. That's a 4mm drill, and you want to, I'm doing it in the mill because I know that the bed's square to the head and everything like that. And then I've got a stopper which is adjustable, so I go down and it stops, and that way I know the depth every time. Now you want to take close to exactly the same amount as you can out of each hole, so that it, as I said, doesn't upset the rotating mass and the dynamic balance of the weight. So that's what I've been doing. I'll keep going. I've knocked about 10 grams out of it so far, so yeah, we're getting there. Alright, all done, lightened rotor. So 4, 5, 7, 8. That's close enough for me. So yeah, that's done. Apart from bearing replacement, these rotors are done. So they've all been machined to 3mm, and they've all been clearance. So they're all sitting about 2 thou clearance on the side seals. Sorry, on the apex seals. Yeah, the only thing I haven't done is I haven't preference clearance all the side seals yet, but that's going to happen more towards the assembly phase because I'll get them mixed up. So the only thing these now need is the bearings replaced, and that's it. They're good to go. Only note I will say is, I don't know how deep you can go. I've gone probably, actually, let's measure it. What have we done? 11mm. So yeah, oh, hang on. No, sorry. Scratch that. There you go. There's a trap for young players. Always zero your equipment before you try and take a measurement. So to the very bottom of the hole, 12.5mm. I don't know how deep you can go. I can't imagine that giving any issue with the structural integrity of the rotor. But I think it's more important that they are the same balance. So anyway, well, the same weight, which they are. So also, as you're doing it, this could be done well and truly at home. You don't need a mill. A drill press, yes. I wouldn't do it by hand with a battery drill. That just, you're asking for trouble. Drill press, if it's got to stop, no worries. Easy to do. So yeah, but make sure you blow the rotor out, clean the rotor out after every pass, and take your time with it. So I did probably 4 or 5 runs at different depths, and then obviously kept checking it and just making sure it was right, because you can take material out, putting it back takes a bit longer. I mean, you could always come across and knock that down too, but I mean, if you take your time, you know, really, you shouldn't have to. So anyway, next step, let's get the E-shaft in the lathe and get it polished. Okay, I'm going to do my best to try and explain this, but we're in the lathe, obviously. Now this is what's referred to as chuck and center. Obvious reasons, chuck, and it's sitting in a live center. Got a bit of shim stock just so that we don't mar up the shaft. Now, there is a convention when polishing a crankshaft, you know, E-shaft, anything that's going to have the bearing run around it, or it run in the bearing, either way, in that the direction of polish is critical. Now, if you imagine looking at the front of the engine, crankshaft's rotating this way. If we polish with the crankshaft rotating in engine direction, as we run our polishing belt, because now this applies because I don't have a motorized polishing belt, I'm doing it by hand. With a motorized polishing belt, the direction of the belt travel, so the way the belt spins on the motor, is critical. It's the other way around when you're doing it by hand. So if we run it direction of engine rotation and we place the belt on this side, as the crankshaft's running and you're removing material this way, because it's going to be pulling it off, what it does is causes very small micro burrs on the surface. Now, as it's spinning this way, the micro burrs, you're removing material off the face of them and they tend to roll over. Now, when you install that in the engine and start running it, what happens is it spins round and round and round, and the micro burrs don't catch on anything. They sit there. Now, it might seem kind of trivial because they are genuinely micro burrs, but if you were to do it the other direction, so you run it opposite engine rotation, so now you're sort of polishing on this side of it, as it runs, what it's going to do is cause the burrs to go this way because you're going to be polishing on this side of the burr. Now, when you go and fire it up, the engine's running this way, your burrs are running this way, and what they do is they will degrade the bearing. You will get quicker bearing wear. In the industry, it's a very strongly held convention that is a definite thing. I haven't done enough of it to really say whether it is or not, but, you know, who am I to go against convention? So, in this setup, we're going to spin it this way, which is in front of the engine here, so you're going to go in engine rotation, and I'm going to be polishing on this side. So as it's coming around, it's removing the front of the burr, and the burrs will all be facing that way. So that's the theory. That's how I'm going to do it. And yeah, let's do it. Let's get this thing polished. If this, at any point, never will you be putting fingers in here like this, or anything. You always hang on to it from the outside, and you keep your distance. So it's a pretty long belt, so I'm behind the camera, and just, yeah, be careful, because, you know, these things hurt people. Okay, so that's just all much more better. No marks, no surface rust. It's pretty nice, actually. I don't really know what caused these marks along the length of it, but anyway, as I said, you can't feel them. I'm not worried about them. So we'll do this one, and then I think what I'll do is I'll come back with some 2000 grit, and I'll do all the bearing journals again. I still need to clean up that taper, which I can do with this as well, and the very end snub there I'll just do by hand. I'll pull it out and just work it by hand. It'll come up good. So we'll get it finished, and I'll show you the finished product. Alright, E-shaft done. So all the way through, going to taper up for the flywheel. Bearing surfaces is nice, very nice. Very nice, all the way through, and just finish the end of the snub up by hand, but it's all good. So this needs an incredibly good wash now, and blow out, wash everything. Same with all these parts. I'm going to strip these bearings, not right this second, but I'm going to strip these bearings, and then these will get a really good wash before the new bearings get installed. But the list of parts that need physical work on them is getting smaller. Alright, so rather than sit there and make you watch porting, which is kind of boring unless you're the ones actually doing it, I thought I'd just give you a before and after. So as I said, I'm not using a template. I'm just trying to make the ports a little bit more smooth. So it looks pretty rough on camera, but I'm going to get in there and try and oh, sorry, excuse the shakiness. So I got in there and I knocked, oh, jeepers, the edge of that back. Cameraman, I am not, I tell you. And then that one is, you know, same sort of thing. So I got in there and knocked all the edges back, decreased that radius on the lip. So this lip here on the inside, it was a really sharp square edge. So cleaned all that up. Now as a comparison, that's what it looked like before. So Sharp edges there. Lots of casting slag, or casting marks and everything at the back. And then that top edge, if you can see it or not, there's a pretty decent sort of step there. And then yeah, this one's very similar. So yeah, lots of sharp edges in there. I don't like the fact that the air will travel down, hit the base of that, and then have to turn around and come back, but there's not much I can do about it. I really don't think I can pull that edge back to it. I think that would drastically change the port timing. And I don't know. I'll do some research, but I don't think that's something that can happen. It'd have to come... Where are we? Where's my tester? So it would have to go about there, and then all the way up to about there. So it would probably make the port look something like that. If I was to try and make it get all the way up to the end of that bore, I don't think that's very acceptable. I think that's going to drastically change the port timing. So anyway, as I said, I'm just neatening them up, getting rid of all the crappy casting bits. Now, probably the biggest area of change is the inlets. So yeah, like I said, bridging them and then polishing them out. So they're, you know, not too bad. Right up the end there. Ooh, that's a bit much light. There. Right up the end there, I'm going to have to get a smaller diameter little flapper wheel so I can smooth all that out. And that one's not too bad. So yeah, compared to that. So I just marked a line from that edge down to that edge, that edge down to that edge, and yeah, as you can see, squared them off, shaped them out. So I'm not going to film the rest of the porting. It's, you know, if you want to watch rotary porting, there is a lot more on YouTube, and realistically there's a lot of people that know more than I do about it. So that's just what I'm doing. Well, not that. It's just what I'm doing, and yeah, I'll get back to it, and